Good evening and welcome to the ACM Sunday Summer Sprint Series here at Kyalami. We have a 60-minute race coming up, but first, of course, is quali. Rules for this race are that there is a required tyre change, so it will be interesting to see what the strategy will be played out in this race. Some people possibly doing like big undercuts, others doing an overcut, or others pitting at the halfway stage. So here we go, start of quali. We're looking for, see who is first out the traps. Stuart Pryor, he's the one who's taking the lead out of the pit lane. It's followed by Van Zyl, Reynolds, Peters, Sotskov, Usaby, the car number 29. He's someone to look out for. He's one of the quicker ones here. Sotskov, he was pretty quick in practice. The 808 in the Ford Mustang. You got Kelly, the 91 RSR liveried Ferrari. He's also pretty quick around here. Tom Morris Jones, the 812 Ford Mustang. He'll also be looking to place himself high up. You also have Ryan Cheshire, the 343 Ford Mustang. He's also probably with a shout for pole. But of course, anything can happen in these qualifying sessions. As Pryor is inside the final sector and will be the first one to cross the line to start a lap, as long as he doesn't bin it at that banana sausage curve, which he does not do. So here we go, around the final corner with Stuart Pryor. We'll have the bonnet as he crosses the line. He goes around turn 1, nice and planted. Manages to complete the first few corners. Coming up to Sunset, this is a difficult corner. It's one where you are looking to sort of go as flat out for as long as possible. This corner, you don't want to touch the inside curb here too much, as it can throw you off into this sort of grassy bit on the side. Now it's time for him to head up the hill, the blind braking spot. You brake just at the crest here. Hairpin, bit more difficult than some people expect, just with the weird exit, because you want to run wide, which is what he has done. You maybe want to get a bit onto the concrete on the side, but you need to avoid the grass, which he has done. Flat out corner, and then you're sort of braking at the 100 marker here. He heads to the final sector. Doesn't go too wide there. He manages to avoid the curve as well on the inside. And round the final corner, and he crosses the line with a 1:42.655. So that is the current pole time. But Reynolds has gone 2 temps, 2.5 temps quicker. Peters a 42.7, Van Zyl 43.0, Sotskov a 45.3. Usaby has crossed the line with a 41.177. He is definitely one to look out for in the Porsche, which is a bit strange for him because normally he's in the Ferrari. That's why his name on this server is Budget Ferrari. Zach Webby he's come in with a 41.9. Stubner, the 666 Lexus, 42.0. Kelly, who I mentioned earlier, in the 91 Ferrari, he's on a 42.5, with Reynolds in 4th on a 42.4. Kelly's just dropped out to 5th to 6th. Tancredi in the 21 Ferrari, a 42.5. So yeah, so far after these individual laps, Yuzabi proving to be the one to beat, and with quite a gap, I would say, 7/10 around here is fairly significant, but this is Yuzabi we are talking about. He is one of the top drivers on ACC in general. If you look at the SimGrid stats, I believe he has most wins, most podiums. Yes, very good driver, very quick, very consistent. So even if he doesn't set the fastest time in this qualifying session, he can do these laps back to back to back. He is always a threat for any race win. It's a yellow flag for Kelly as that looks like he's ended up in the wall. Ah, so that's what's happened with him. It's not exactly what you want to see. Yuzabi did not improve on his prior lap, seeing as he is got caught up in traffic. Sotskov, however, he's set a 41.5, so he's now 4/10 off Stubner, half a second off. So we're starting to get closer to Yuzabi's time, but I believe this will be a push lap for him. Unfortunately, my live timing is not giving me the delta. Have a look at Sotskov as he comes across the line. He seems to be the closest challenger to Yuzabi so far, but that is a lot of traffic in front of him. Does he improve? He does. He does go on pole by 0.08 of a second. He sets a 41.090. Yuzabi's needing to find a 10th here. However, as we are seeing on Sotskov right now, he is currently facing a lot of traffic. A couple of Aston Martins here. But Yuzabi seems to have the clear air right now, so that should benefit him nicely. Kelly, meanwhile, who we saw have that accident earlier, he is back on track. He'll be on an outlap right now. Sotskov is currently in the pit. Same with Webby and Stubner. We are getting a bit of a cluster of cars behind Sotskov and Yuzabi. You got Webby on a 41.5, same as Bartek, Stubner, Passetto on 44.6s. Sorry, there's only 0.05 of a second actually between Stubner and Passetto. 41.610 for Stubner, 41.615 for Passetto. Prior 41.7, Reynolds a 41.7. We got a nice gap, yeah, just at the top end, but then of course there is that 3/4 gap from those guys up to our top two here. As Yuzabi crosses the line, it's a 41.115. He's a quarter of a tenth off of pole. He's getting there. You can't count him out of this one. Speaking of that gap, Van Zyl, he has joined the sort of chasing pack with a 41.7. He's currently in 10th. Soskov is out of the pits. He's currently on an out lap. He's coming up to the end, and oh, there is a lot of yellow flags here. There's a lot of people. Oh, there's people going off in the background as well. It's not going to be the best preparation. As you can see here, there is a fair amount of traffic. So we'll keep an eye on them. I've got my doubts on improving with all this traffic. Of course, overtaking not allowed when other drivers are on hot laps. If I remember the rule book correctly, if you do overtake and cause an incident, the minimum penalty is 5 seconds, and seeing as the gap between himself and Yuzubi is a quarter of a tenth over race distance with the pit stop, not exactly going to want that. And yeah, as he's coming up to Sunset, he's getting blocked here by a few cars. There's a Porsche in the way. I don't think he's going to do that. But speaking of improvement, Yuzubi a 40.59. He now has a 5/10th lead. Half a second he's gained here. Incredible lap there of 40.59. Obviously, we'll have to wait to see with Soskov, but he is in traffic, and I doubt he will be improving in this lap. Of course, be interesting to see if towards the end, if he does find a bit of clean air, if he can swing back at Yuzubi for this. But that is an incredible lap from Yuzubi. Fair play to him. Here's a name that I mentioned earlier, Tom Morris-Jones. He's currently on a lap. He's currently entering the final sector. He's down in 20th, which isn't what I expected. Tom's a weird one. There's some tracks where he's incredibly quick, some tracks where he's not that quick, and maybe this has proven to be one of them. I know it's from first-hand experience because there's places like Monza and Spa. He is way quicker than me, and then there's other tracks where I do out-qualify and out-race him. Like we had Monza last night, and he managed to be in the fight for podium, and he's improved. He's big improvement there. He's up to 41.795. That places him in 11th. Although that's very quickly been put down to 12. Soskov, he's on a lap, and he looks like there is some clean air in front of him, but I'm not sure if he touched the grass a little bit there. So we'll see if there's improvement in this one. Got 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes left for drivers to set the lap. Yuzubi is in the pits, and with a roughly 2-minute pit lane to line out lap, we will see if he will come out again for one final go at a push lap, see if he can extend that lead or keep it, depending on how Soskov is doing. So here we go, and Soskov entering at the final corner. He's going to get a little bit of a toe here on that final straight, but I'm not sure if he went a bit wide there on exit. He does improve, but it's only a 40.68, so he's 0.09 of a second off of Yuzubi's lap time, who, judging by the fact that we'd have a minute 15 left, is not going to be setting another lap. You got Chicken. He has managed to work his way up into third with a 41.295. Webby a fourth, a 41.38, just ahead of Reynolds, who put a 41.397. So 17,000 is a difference there between fourth and fifth. And that is Soskov done. He's done. He's got caught by traffic there at the end. Yuzubi is almost certainly going to be on pole here, considering the gap to everyone else. Stubner goes up to second. He's up a 41.2. Sorry, third. He's put a 41.2. So 6 tenths off of Yuzubi. Yuzubi's time places Chicken in the top 3. Tom Morris-Jones at the end there with 41.5. He gets himself up to 9th. We've got Andre Bartek here coming around the final corner, and he seems to have given up with his lap. We have Zanoni in 15th. We'll see if he can improve his standings. His best so far is a 41.805. And he sets himself... it's a 42.3. There's no improvement there for him, but we can move over to... Who's going to be next across the line? Brooker. Brooker's coming around the final corner. Sliding around the final corner. Can he improve? No, he's 3 tenths down. Matty doesn't improve either. He's a 10th off his best time. We have LF6 in the Ferrari. His best time so far, 42.7. How's this one? It's a 42.8, and I don't think there's anyone else on hot laps. No, it's Lorenzetti. He's on a hot lap. He's on a 42.295 as his best. He's in 21st. As he crosses the line, does he improve? No, 3 tenths down, and I believe Coco Bob, what a name that is. I believe he's going to be the last one to cross the line here. His best time so far, 41.867, ahead of Kelly, who I was giving praise to earlier. So let's see, can Coco Bob climb anywhere up? He's very close to P15. He's on a 41.867, crosses the line, and it's a 41.892. He does not move up the positions. So it is Usaby on pole with a 40.590. Sotskov just 900ths behind with a 40.680. And Stubner in third. Probably the most interesting part of qualifying there being Ryan Cheshire. As I mentioned, he's very quick. He's only down in 25th. I do wonder if something happened during his laps, whether it's a case of traffic or just pushing track limits too much when he's on a hot lap. That can happen. It's done me over many a time. 30 seconds to the start then, and I should also clarify that despite for some reason they're not showing up on the... Yeah, they are showing up on the stream, not on my actual screen. Of course, service supplied by G Portal. And of course organised by ACM and Big Brain Racing. So let's have a switch to the Helicam. Let's see if we can go down to the back. We have 2 cars starting in the pit lane as it seems. Simon and Slater qualifying 22nd and 23rd. They're starting in the pits. We do also have Harry Goswell and Will Gossel start in the pits. However, I believe they're here for stewarding reasons. So sort of have to... Sort of can't race and steward at the same time. So Yuzubi leads us away into turn 1. This is just a formation lap, so not gonna not gonna get any meaningful position changes unless someone does bin it. That does happen from time to time. Sometimes trying to warm up the tyres, trying to wiggle your car around, and you just a bit too much on the power, lose traction, can slide into the wall. It does happen. Not often, but it does. Of course, as mentioned, mandatory tyre change pit stop, which means that all the pit stops are going to be 30 seconds, so it will be interesting to see what the fuel strategy is. That's one that's going to intrigue me, because when it comes to ACC, like fuel, if you're changing fuel and tyres, it's going to be 30 seconds no matter what. Of course, if it was... We have run championships before with a mandatory fuel pit stop, but then people in cars such as the Ferrari usually like to do that often. They just do a splash and dash, so you'd only be in there for about a second, stationary for a second, instead of, I think at most for a fuel stop you are looking at 30 seconds anyway. So of course fuel loads at the start, you might have people on low fuel, you might have people who are on high fuel and are just not bothering of any sort of fuel change. No, I think that's Tom who's taking an adventure into the gravel there. That's not where the track is. Of course, now that we're into the final sector, we're going to have everyone side by side getting into position for the start of this race. Also, by the looks of things, it doesn't seem like we have any casualties on the formation lap. So that's good to see. We're going to have a full grid for this start. To get to the line. And it's go at Kyalami. Yuzubi leads us away. Sotskov in second. Stopna in third. Looks to be a bit of a battle behind as we head into turn 1. And Sotskov goes down to the inside, but he's not quite alongside going into turn 1. He's getting battled there by Stubna. Yuzubi leading the pack, and he is getting away. There is a yellow flag before turn 2. There's more yellow flags into turn 2 and 3 section. There's definitely been contact there. Yuzubi with a 1 second lead already as we go through Sunset Corner. That is Sotskov and Stubna side by side. Is there going to be contact? No, Sotskov holds a position ahead of Stubna. Webby still in his P4, although he looks to be side by side with Bartek as we go into this hairpin. So let's have a look, and there he goes, Bartek up the inside, and that's another car. That is Chicken going up the inside. No, Lilith, sorry, going up the inside of Webby at the hairpin. Webby losing 2 positions after going wide there. Sinoni up a position on Van Zyl. Ryan Cheshire is up to 19th from his 25th qualifying. And there's your leader, Yuzubi, rounding the final corner. He's going to end this lap with a 1.5 second lead over Sotskov. Stubna 7 tenths behind, with Bartek 7 tenths behind there. Lilith right on the trail as we see a huge train of cars there. Got to watch here with Pesetto as Are we going to see a move down the inside from Tancredi? Yes, we are. And it's 3 wide at turn 1. And he does make it through. Tancredi gets through. Passetto ahead of Reynolds. Reynolds is round. Where is Reynolds? Yes, he's stuck on the inside at turn 2 there. I didn't quite catch what happened. But as I was mentioning earlier, Ryan Cheshire here, he's worked his way up into 16th, making his moves through the fields. Pryor making a look on the inside of that corner. I wouldn't necessarily call that one a passing spot, but yep, you can see plenty of action in these opening stages. Used to be with a 1 second lead over Sotskov, who's a second ahead of Stubner. We're starting to see gaps appear. Tancredi in 9th. He's 2 seconds off of Tom Morris-Jones in the fourth and 8th. As you can see, there is a bit of a train building up behind him. Pryor, meanwhile, look at this. He's very close going into this. Is he going to try and make a move around the outside? He's going for it, you know, but no, he's not going to hold it. But now, oh, Ryan making a move in, oh, down the inside going into that corner. That is an excellent passing move there. It's very easy to get that wrong at that corner, especially with that curb on the inside. As we now head down the final straight. As you can see, oh, that's a move there. And it's Passetto going up into 10th. Tancredi down 4 places there, I believe, in the Ferrari. And as you can see, a bit of side-by-side action going into turn 3. A lot of people taking track limits liberally there. Well, side-by-side. Oh, and there's a car in the wall. Van Zyl is in the wall. There is contact there going into Sunset Corner. That will be investigated by the stewards. But there's another position gained for those behind as that incident took place. As we get into the hairpin, is Ryan going to make a move? See, setting one up. He's very close. Is he going to get the traction down this hill? As we can see, there is side-by-side action just behind with Pryor and Brooker. Brooker down the inside of this fast left-hander. Is he going to get the move done? No, he isn't. But Ryan looks like he might be able to get a move done in this final sector. We saw him do it at the last lap. Is he able to find a gap? No, not yet. Now you can see a few tyre marks there. This driver's going wide, and Ryan, no, he's got contact. He's pushed round. Oh no, Ryan, that is not how you perform an overtake, my friend. I think that's going to be a bit of a penalty, and there's now an even bigger train now with Pryor and Brooker, Panavi, Lorenzetti. Big train of cars there, but meanwhile, up at the front we do have Useby and Sotskov. Sotskov having set the fastest lap of the race last time around by just under 2 tenths quicker than Useby's best, so we'll keep an eye on this for now. It's about half a second gap. I do wonder if something happened with Useby. Then after these two, it's a 2-second gap to Stubner, a second gap to Bartek with a small train of cars behind, then Passetto 5 seconds. You can see there's Zanoni 399 forward in 11th. He's got a 10-second penalty. Only penalty that I can see in the top 23 for now. Evidently a pretty clean start to the race. Few cars going wide there at that corner. Let's have a look at Jackson as he battles with Passetto. He is, as it stands, less than half a second behind. And of course, he's in the Ford Mustang. They have a bit of advantage down the straight. Incredible top line speed, and we can see Ryan Cheshire in the background up in 13th. So we'll see if Jackson will make a move. He doesn't, but Ryan Cheshire does on the inside of Tancredi. And it looks like he is very much through. He's managed to get past the car without spinning them this time. Well done, Ryan. Looks like Tancredi is looking to fight back, but just doesn't quite have the pace. Now he's got Scott Pryor right behind, side by side. Is he going to make a move down here? Tancredi defends, and it's it's getting feisty there. Tancredi managing to hold the position there ahead of Pryor. Round Sunset. But Lilith has had an accident here at the hairpin. He's lost a couple positions. Tom Morris-Jones has gone up into 6th place. And now there's a few cars here behind Lilith. Passetto and Jackson, 0.1 and 0.4 behind each other respectively. Are we going to see... It looks to be a bit of damage on the front of that Mustang. But Jackson, is he? No, not quite. We'll switch to a bit of view for this final corner. We'll see if a move is made down into turn 1. Of course, Lilith having a damaged car is going to affect the top speeds here. No moves into turn 1 there, but Pryor down the inside of Tancredi there into turn 1. Let's see if another fight back happens, or if Tancredi is just going to keep falling down the order. No, he sends a move up into the inside of turn 3. Is he going to get the traction to go side by side into Sunset Low? No, it's not quite going to happen. However, Lorenzetti is right behind. And is he going to go down the inside of Sunset? Yes, he is. Is he going to hold this position? It's side by side. Right on the edge of the curbs. Oh, Ryan's off at that corner. Oh, it's goes in chaos here. That's Lorenzetti having to go into the grass. And now 3 wide going into the corner. Manages to squeeze round the outside. Oh, and that's Ryan spinning another driver off. And he's off. He's off. Ryan Cheshire's gone. He's in the wall. He is out. He is out of this race. It's over for Ryan Cheshire. Moving back towards the leaders meanwhile. Usaby just a few tenths ahead of Sotskov here. So we go on to the start-finish straight. So you can see Chicken being given a 5-second penalty. LF6 has been given a 5-second penalty. The Chicken with that 5-second penalty as it stands. He looks set to drop down to 10th position. So only with his 10 seconds, possibly down as low as 20th, I want to say, looking at the timing sheets. Tancredi, meanwhile, is still losing. Oh, Lasso. That is Griesel going round, spinning on his own there. But Tancredi down in 19th now. Feel sorry for him because feels like I've only seen him go backwards. Of course, the last incident not exactly being his fault. Is he going to go around the outside into Sunset here? He does, ahead of Peters. Oh, it looks like there was a little bit of a slide there, but he manages to hold the position. Is Peters going to go down the inside? Yes, he is, and there's contact, and Peters is round, and he's off the track. Bit of an ambitious move. Did Tancredi turn in on him? That's going to be a job for the stewards to decide. Meanwhile, any other close battles? Paniavis going into the hairpin. He's just behind LS6, of course, with a 5-second penalty. So if it was to stay as it is, he'd gain that position. But with 48 minutes of the race remaining, you're going to want to get past. You want to get yourself up the field No, you don't want to just sit behind a car all day. You're here to race. So yellow flag out. It is Robert Vincent down in 33rd. That's a real shame for him. Up at the hairpin. Meanwhile, Userby and Sotskov half a second again. They're inseparable, these two, but they are making themselves a bit of a gap. We're looking at a 4 gap to Stubner behind. Gap starting to appear here. We'll switch over to Callum Brooker in the Aston Martin. He's sat behind Lorenzetti. We're looking at about 3/10 gap here. It's down to 2 temps, 3 temps, but of course this is a pretty tricky section, so if he's able to follow, get close enough, we might be able to see a move up into the hairpin, but that gap is stabilised, so I don't see that happening for him here. And, well, that's an issue for Brooker there. He's got a 10-second penalty as well. So, if he was to get past, he'd have to be a bit more on the pace of blows far ahead if he wants to build that required gap. Of course, we still have the pit stop to go. And there it is. Brooker's spun round Lorenzetti at the final corner. He's going to get another penalty for that. But look at this. We've got 2 more cars coming through here. Is that Panyavis going through on the inside of LS6, who's got the 5-second penalty? He said he needed an opportunity to get past V1 Racing, and he's going to get that. Turn 1, down the inside on the apex, and he is through. Brooker now side by side with LS6, but not quite able to get ahead. Although LS6, that is a much better through that turn 3. Is he going to be able to make a move here? No. Meanwhile, at the top end, Sotskov again setting the fastest up, a 40.7, a tenth quicker than used to be, but just not able to get anywhere close enough to make some kind of move. It must be incredibly frustrating. We do have blue flags now in the way here, so we get into the final sector. We'll see him just go through on the inside of the final corner. That's pretty much the racing line you're wanting. Of course, blue flags are allowed to. The rule is basically just stay on the racing line, don't do anything stupid, be predictable. And that blue flag definitely adhering to the rules there. Don't want to see blue flags ruin a race for leader. Of course, the blue flag drivers know that, but these sort of things do happen in sim racing. Unfortunately, looking down the field, there are plenty of gaps. However, we do have Kelly here, who we can get on the bonnet of. See if he's able to make a move down the inside. Is he lining one up? I think he's just a bit too far behind. So it looks like there is some action up ahead. We're looking at Lorenzetti, Ryder, Alexander and Hurst. Hurst in the sort of Golf style livery Aston Martin, but here we go at the hairpin. There's Jackson. Is he going to be able to make a move here? Oh, we're getting tight here. That's 3 cars. That looks like Looks like Lilith messing up a bit there, just not quite getting the traction he wants. Gonna have 3 cars very close going down this start-finish straight. Move on board with Pessetto. We'll keep an eye through here, see if a move is made down into turn 1. Gap of 3 tenths as we go around the kink into turn 1. Any moves under braking here? He's going for it, but there's not quite the overlap. I don't think we're gonna get a move here. Oh, but that's Lilith making a mistake there. He's going wide on the exit. We'll see. Is it close enough? No, it's still 4 tenths of a gap there. It's just not happening. Meanwhile, up front, we can see here that Yuzabi has managed to get himself a 1 second gap to Sotskov behind. It's another blue flag. So Yuzabi managing to hold off Sotskov, who again seemed to have lost 2 tenths last lap, and I will say the pace difference between these two and the rest of the field is something to behold. There's about, you're looking at nearly a second quicker than the rest of the field. These lot are definitely going at it. Meanwhile, Bartek and Webb. Oh, Webb seems to push Bartek off there into the final sector. Unfortunately, just missed the entry there. We'll see. You can see Bartek is not very happy with that move, flashing his lights. We may have a student's inquiry into that one. I'm not entirely convinced. I think there might have been contact. Still see the flashing lights going into turn 1. He's very much not happy. Lilith, meanwhile, as we saw there with all the damage is coming in, be fixing the damage and of course changing the tyres. Be sat there for about 30 seconds, so be interesting to see where they come out later on. We can move to Tom Morris Jones now, who is sitting nicely in 6th, and he goes wide. Nothing too detrimental, but I think he might get tagged there. But Bartek, that was a bit wide there. That's not the ideal racing line. Move back to Gabriele Tancredi. You can see Brooker's now got 15 seconds worth of penalties. That last corner tap will have given him an extra 5. Tancredi's holding close here. Are we going to see? We're going to see a move up the inside. No, he's just not quite alongside enough. So watch these two come down into this fast left-hander, sorry. Jackson, the 99 Ferrari, he is now into the pits. Of course, we should probably note that with the drivers who do have their penalties, we are going to see them stopped in the pits for an extra length of time. So Brooker with the 30-second pit stop, that will be 45 seconds once we include the penalties, which can definitely drop you down the order a fair bit. Got a little bit of a train here with Webby in P4 in the number 13 Mustang. Bartek 4 tenths behind. Morris Jones 7 tenths, and then Chicken another 7 tenths there. As you can see, there's a blue flag in amongst the mix as well. It's always, from experience, if you are a blue flag and you are involved in a sort of bat, you do kind of just want to get a little bit out of the way. As looking a bit twitchy there, Webby. Bartek there. Look at that. He's getting close. He's now 3 tenths as we go onto the start-finish straight. Surely, I know it's a Mustang, but the Lexus is also a car known for its straight line speed. It's not quite close enough to maybe dive down the inside. No issues going around turn 3. We're going to quickly cut to our leader. As you can see there, Usaby, the gap on the helicam, you can't quite see Sotskov. He's sitting 2.2 currently off of Usaby here in the lead. See if it's coming up to a blue flag low. So you can see there, Porsche. Oh, there's a yellow flag. It's Maurice Jones' round. That's not ideal for his race. He's going to lose more positions here. So you can see he's currently sitting as 7th. That's him down to 8th. That's it. Passetto gets past him. That's Kelly getting involved. This is not exactly what Maurice Jones would have wanted. Also, I see that's Kelly getting involved. I've just seen, I didn't realise, he's down in 29th with 5 seconds of penalties. I've evidently missed something on his end. See, that is Jordan and Drago Red going looking quite close, and yep, Jackson gets through up into the hairpin. Pryor, meanwhile, in the Aston, he's currently in the pits. Webby and Bartek still fighting here. There's only 3 attempts between them still. Again, we'll see if there's enough following going into that hairpin. Going to see, oh, there's a yellow flag. Alexander and Hurster is coming up on my dash there as having been involved. There's going to be a few positions lost as he takes quite a wide turn to get himself back round. Meanwhile, we head back to this battle between Bartek and Webby, heading into the final sector. Bartek making him appear in the mirrors. Chicken currently P6 is going into the pits, of course, with a 5-second time penalty, so we'll see where that spits him out. Of course, we are starting to get to the halfway stage of the race, as it's typically, mentally anyway, the easiest place to just be like, yep, we'll just do half and half if we want to do these sort of stints. Bartek very close there. We're looking at just 2 tenths. A 2-tenth gap there. Go on board with the Lexus. Look at how close they are. It's another yellow flag. It is Sarti. I can see exactly what's happened. You've hit that sausage curve there in the prior corner. It's down 38th, not having the best of times there. Meanwhile, this battle is still just stuck to each other, just 2 tenths between them. See, they're just getting close, but it's not quite close enough to make any sort of move, or maybe going into this final corner. Is he going to be late on the brakes? He is. There's contact. There's a bit of a door bang there. There's a bit of a door bang back. They're definitely fighting hard. These two, of course, we'll see if a series like that is a racing incident or if Sparta gets a warning. We'll see what happens. Of course, live stewarding for all ACM events. No move into the first corner, though, of course, seemed to be no one getting any real advantage or traction coming out that final corner, especially with something that's a bit more than door banging. Brooker, meanwhile, into the pits. As mentioned, he's got a 15-second penalty, so he's going to drop down quite a fair amount. Meanwhile, we have a look at Tancredi, who's going down the inside of LS6 at turn 1. He does go a bit deep. Is he going to keep the position? Side by side into turn 2. No contact there. Oh, tried to see if there was a switchback opportunity going into turn 3, but LS6 holds that off. Holds the position for now. Of course, with the 5-second penalty, he's going to lose it in the pits. Oh, looking a bit wide there, Tancredi. Certainly having an interesting race in. Meanwhile, Bartek has dropped off a little bit from Webby here. Speaking of dropping off, Sotskov, second place. His last lap's a 42.9, which is slower than Stubner in third, who he's nearly 10 seconds ahead of. But of course, looking at this view, you cannot see Usaby. That's because Usaby's up here and is 6 seconds ahead. You can see the gap there to Sotskov as he's just going around that third corner, whilst Usaby is entering Sunset, turn 4, or maybe it's turn 5. Sometimes on tracks, kinks get counted as corners, and it just throws me off sometimes. Speaking of pits, Bartek is in the pits alongside Panavis. Yeah, side by side. Meanwhile, Pesetto, he's not too far over Tom here. He's 7 tenths. And that's a car off. Oh, that's not a safe rejoin from that Porsche. Really not a safe rejoin. That's not how you rejoin. If you want a prime example, do not do what that Porsche did. Meanwhile, Tancredi, we're going to see he's just behind 6 still. Just doesn't seem to be able to find just that extra tenth. He was looking at just being a tenth behind there going into the corner, but it's not quite happening for him. Meanwhile, up in front, Sotskov, he is just entered the pits. He's in his box now, so we'll see him in there for another 30 seconds. That gives Usaby a 17-second lead to the car behind. Meanwhile, Pesetto as well has also gone into the pits. Meanwhile, down in 26, we have Euro with a smiley face in their name, sitting 2 tenths behind Jordan. So we're going to see a move down the inside. No, we are not. There is a yellow flag, but that's very... It's Sarti again coming into the final sector. No, that's going into the hairpin, sorry. Must have gone wide. Meanwhile, Tancredi still 2 temps. It's just not really quite able to get past here. We're at the stage where a lot of cars are pitting. There's a bit of a mix-up in the order, but then there's also some pretty substantial gaps LS6 currently 20 seconds behind Zanoni here, who is 8 seconds behind Morris Jones, who is another 9 seconds behind Webby, 7 seconds behind Stubner, who is 18 seconds behind our leader as he goes into the pits. Which means Webby is going to take P2, but he'll be 27 seconds. Never mind, Webby is also in the pits. Let's have a watch for Tom Morris Jones. He's going into the pits. Is Zanoni going to take P2 then, whilst everyone else is in the pits? Yes, he is. So he rounds the final corner, gets past the 3 who are ahead, and that is... yeah, gap to Usabe up front is 43 seconds, so I think we're getting to the point where Usabe can just enter the pits and come out with a lead. There was a yellow flag there at turn 1, didn't quite catch the cause behind it. Might have just been a car going wide. It does mean that this battle between Tancredi and LS6 is now a battle for that podium spot, if only temporarily, of course. I think everyone ahead of Sotskov needs to pit still. Is he going to look for an inside move? No, it seems that Tancredi's better on the exit of turn 3, but he's just not quite holding that gap. Oh, are we going to get a move? No, just not quite alongside enough. Must be incredibly frustrating here. It's been a good battle. It's been a good battle for these two, because we do have, coming up from behind, Sotskov, who's going to get an excellent view of this battle as we head up the hill into the hairpin. Are we going to see an attempt? No. Sotskov, of course, being the much faster driver here, it'll be interesting to see how he's able to navigate this traffic. Of course, a valuable skill in this sort of endurance GT racing events. So we see if some sort of undercut is able to work. Zanoni entering the pits now. And that's a move around the outside from Tancredi, who was at least trying that, but now Sotskov is going to be alongside. We're going to switch to the helicam as we go down the start-finish straight. That can Sotskov make it 2 in 1 go? He goes down the inside of LS6 as well. Is that able to help out? It is able to help out Tancredi. He's going to be side by side. Not quite again. He's quickly switch back and move. Joe trying to find the space up the inside, but it's not quite working. That BMW there is not someone in this sort of top battle. It might, it's not Pasetto, he's just lost a position there to Pryor, might lose another position again. As Jackson goes down the inside. Zanoni, meanwhile, who had that 10-second penalty, as you can see there, they've dropped down to 16th because of it. Meanwhile, as we go back to Sotskov, we can see there is a gap, we'll put it that way. The gap right now, it used to be still not pitted yet. The gap is 1 minute and 6 seconds. And Sotskov's last lap there was 3/10 slower than Usabe. He's still extending the lead. It's a skill set that Usabe excels at. He's very, very good with his tyres. Like I say, it's that he's able to get pretty close to matching his qualifying times, but he's able to just do it lap after lap after lap. And I see, who's that he is lapping? Is that Jackson? No, the only thing is I recognise it. Annoyingly, I recognise that last time that was just overtaken there by Usabe. And oh, Jackson! That's not how you take that corner. Like I say, that corner, the curb on the inside very good at catching people out. Tancredi, he's in the pits as well now. Got 23 minutes to go. Not quite seeing any close gaps here. We got Gus Peters. Oh, it's Dutch, so it's Goose. Like the animal. Is he as vicious as a goose slow? I don't think so. However, that's Simon going wide. Is Goose Peters going to make the move? It's alongside. No, it's going to be side by side at the apex, but yes, Goose Peters is just ahead. A move made for the Golf livery Aston Martin, getting ahead of the BMW there. You know, I can move back to Jackson, back fighting Pryor. So we come down the hill after the hairpin. We'll see what kind of... Seems like Pryor's got a slightly better exit. Meanwhile, LS6 is dropping down the order because they are in the pits and of course have that 5-second penalty. Oh, is that Yuzubi going into the pits? It is! Yuzubi enters the pits with a lead of 1 minute and 6 seconds. I think we might keep an eye on Sotskov here because he's in second now. So we'll see what kind of gap he's able to make up here. LS6 meanwhile has dropped behind Bartek in the BMW. As you can see, his is a bit battered and bruised. See Yuzubi still stationary. Sotskov meanwhile entering that fast left-hander. There's a yellow flag at the hairpin. And it's Jordan. He's not facing the correct direction as Webby laps him. It's quick. Yuzubi is on the move again. We're going to switch to the helicam for this one because Sotskov is coming up to the final corner. Yuzubi exits the pits as Sotskov is coming around the final corner. It's looking like a 10-second gap there. Sotskov is last lap of 41.4, which is way off the pace. I'm going to imagine there was some sort of traffic issues. It used to be coming out under no threat at all. It's a shame we had a very, very tight qualifying between these two. But then, of course, as I did mentioning many times, Yuzubi is just so consistent with his pace around a race distance. Pryor, meanwhile, looked like to be a yellow flag. I'm going to imagine he messed up on that final corner. He's lost a few positions. We're getting on here because Reynolds is in the pits. Meanwhile, it's 3 wide. Are we going to go 3 wide? Lilith around the outside of Jackson. Side by side into turn 2. Up the inside. Are we going to see a move back up into turn 3? We are. Jackson side by side. Not quite getting back ahead. It's a good battle there. Reynolds, meanwhile, with his pit stop, he's dropped down to 16th. Meanwhile, Pryor here with Bartek, 3 temps in it. .5 minutes to go. Oh, he's going around the outside. He's going around the outside of the hairpin. Is he going to be able to get the traction though on the exit? So we'll see if a wider line is able to get him a bit more top speed going into this. It's fast. He's going to make a dive. It's a blue flag, so no move there. There is a yellow flag on the exit of the curb corner. Very close going into that final corner. See if there's going to be any moves made into turn 1. Not quite. There's another blue flag. It's a Porsche that I might have called out for an unsafe rejoin earlier. Having to break the curb there to that faster car through. If we want an update on the top 3, we have Stubner Hayes. A gap between him and Sotskov is 11 seconds. Sotskov's at USAB, we're looking at 11.2. We're looking at pretty equidistant gaps for our leaders. Of course, USAB now in his first full proper lap since coming out the pits. And that is a 40.810, his best lap so far of the race, but still not the fastest. Sotskov still having that with a 40.732. So, just need to find 800ths. Something tells me from experience that USAB is able to do that. I'll have a move back to Pryor. So you can see there is some traffic. Some traffic getting involved in this battle between him and Bartek. You can see Bartek flashing the lights there. Just letting them know that he is there. I'll switch the focus to him, see if there's any issues with any of the blue flags that he's coming up to. Doesn't seem like it though. So far anyway, it's going to start to get a bit congested. He's up the inside, he sort of bashes him off. You can see the flashing, he's not very happy with that blue flag. Of course, if a faster car does make a move, he's not meant to defend it, but this means Pryor's got the run. Not quite enough. And that blue flag goes off the track to just avoid being in any kind of bother, which, if it was a place like Paul Ricard I can understand, but a place like Kyalami where it's just the moment you're off the track it's just grass and gravel, I don't think it's the greatest greatest plan in the world. Tancredi, we've not spoken his name for a wee while. He's coming up to the hairpin. Unfortunately, he's looking at a 6-second gap to the car behind, 8 seconds to the car in front, which is this car, Zanoni. Half a second behind Panavis in the Mercedes up ahead. Although Panavis is just behind 6, who, as we can see here, there's a bit of blue flag shenanigans going on in this final corner. This is 6:11. So it's Pacetto. It's Pacetto who was way higher up in this race earlier on. He's fighting with Hendricks over P29. Going to make the move down the inside. That's a car facing the wrong way. That is Ernst van Beel. This is a home track for him. He's South African, and it's not going so well for him, which is a bit of a shame. See if Panavis can make a move on LS6 into this corner. I know I was saying a lot about Tancredi making those sort of moves, but not happening evidently. Also, I evidently missed it at some point. I was saying about Sotskov having the fastest lap, a 140.732. Well, USAB A 140.730. New fastest lap of the race. I knew he would be able to do that. Meanwhile, back to this battle. Between these three cars, that is a move up the inside. Are we going to get it done? No, not quite. Flashing lights maybe suggesting there was a bit of cutting off there. 12.5 minutes to go, so if we're looking at 1 minute 40s, looking at about 7 laps left. Try and get any positions changed. But Zanoni looking to make a move there. Just not quite got the overlap. That's another blue flag deciding that going off a track's a better way to deal with it. He's getting very close, always getting himself in the middle of them. Seeds goes down the inside. Let's Panavis through. Zanoni is there in the background. He's now stuck behind the blue flag. That's helped 6 breathe just a little bit. There's a view from what I can presume is the rear mirror of LS6. Mercedes just getting ever closer. Now looking into turn 1, we got Bartek and Pryor still battling it out, but still no position change. Are we going to see one at Panavis and 6? No. Panavis close through sunset, not close enough to make a move. A couple different lines being taken there from those three. Bit of swerving, just trying to get in the mirrors. Sometimes, you know, just getting yourself in driving front's mirrors is all it takes for a mistake to be made. We're going to see a move at the hairpin, maybe from Zanoni. Very close between these three. Surely we're going to see one down the inside here. Side by side is Panavis ahead. There's a little bit of contact, bit of door banging. Side by side still. Are we going to see him move into this corner? No, Panavis smartly backs out. But that means that LS6 has gone wide. He's onto the grass and Panavis is through. He's now side by side. LS6 with Zanoni. That's who he's going to have to worry about now. Going into the first corner. Might not even make it to the first corner. Zanoni's now side by side as we cross the line. Surely going to get this move done here. Under braking though, LS6, he might have gone a bit later there. It's side by side, they're close, but no contact. Good move from Zanoni, good racing from these three. Keeping it hard, keeping it fair, respectful. Bit of door bashing here and there, but hard racing's hard racing. It's bound to happen. It's a GT racing, not Formula 1. You're able to do that. Meanwhile, we've got a fight for the podium here. Zach Webb is just 6 tenths behind Stubner, so we're going to keep an eye on this, because that's a blue flag. It might get in the way there. Might get in the way, or might give Stubner a tow. We've got 8 minutes left, so we're looking at 5 laps still to go, maybe. Usaby's currently about a third of the way through the lap. He's just going into sunset now. Just seen that there on the map. Blue flag is still there. Doesn't seem to be causing issues though, unless Stubner does just like to make it move. Nah, just too far back. We're getting very close there with the blue flag there, Stubner. Blue flag's still there on the inside for Webby, but he clears it as well. Keep an eye on this battle. Anything else in Noni and Panavis, meanwhile? They're going down into turn 1. They're looking to go way along the inside. Panavis, however, opens up the angle. Is there going to be a switchback? Maybe. There is going to be a switchback. They're going to go around the outside. No, not quite. Zanoni ahead going into turn 3. Is he going to keep that going into sunset? Yes, he is. Not quite the gap there for Panavis to get back through and hold the position. Very aggressive on the inside curves there, Panavis. Meanwhile, as we're coming out the hairpin, Jackson, 4 tenths gap to Lilith. We saw Lilith having issues earlier, but evidently they're fixed. Really running tight with those edges as we exit the final corner. Webby, meanwhile, and Stubner, they're getting close. 3 tenths in it as we go into sunset. God's going to quickly switch back. See, it's 4 tenths. I don't see a move being made here. Or maybe he has. He might have pushed him off there. I'm not sure if the stewards are going to look too kind there on that, but that was a move there at turn 1. Manages to get ahead, although Lilith, we've got 2 Mustangs fighting it out here. He's just behind. Chicken, meanwhile, is in 5th. He's got a 10-second penalty. Didn't quite catch when that got given. We're seeing a few penalties further down the field. Kelly with 5 seconds. Alexander with 5 seconds as well. Ubo's smiley face. 15-second penalty. Might see some post-race changes of position. Meanwhile, these two still fighting for that podium. Webby's starting to get sort of stabilised at half a second here. Meanwhile, we'll see if we get a revenge move at turn 1. Not quite. Of course, we'll see if there's a run into turn 3. Doesn't seem like there's a gap load. That's a bit too far behind. Although that's Lilith having a much better run through the corner, but just too far back. Not gonna see a move there. quick check on these two again. Stubbs seemingly holding it off. The challenge for Webby. Not quite. It's not quite got the pace solo. P4, very strong result. Meanwhile, we're going to have a look out on front. There's User B, 15-second gap to Sotskov. As you can see, going through Sunset there. And then, of course, these two stop now turn 3 with Webby not far behind. So we switch back over to Lilith and Jackson as they're on the start-finish straight. 4/10 gap here. It's not quite getting close enough. Although, Simon in the BMW. On Peters in the Aston. No, sorry, on Lorenzetti, sorry. Lorenzetti in the other BMW. The Aston's about 2 seconds behind. We're going way over. A bit of a squeeze there. Going into turn 1 and Simon is through. That's a good move into turn 1. No, not seeing any real defence from that one. Have a look back at Lilith for a friend. Meanwhile, User B has started what will, I'd imagine, will be the final lap of the race. Maybe it's looking very tight. We're looking at current pace. He'll be crossing the line with 4 seconds to go. He might slow down in that case just to end it a lap early. So this is either the penultimate or the final lap. So that means, Webby, you're going to want to get a move done soonish. Lilith, you're going to want to get a move done soonish. But it's just not getting close enough, are they? However, this is a 3/10 gap across the line. Will we see? This might be the final lap of the race, so who knows? Are we going to see just an almighty send down into turn 1? There is a look for it. But Jackson holds his composure, holds his nerve. Pressure is not getting to him. Oh, but Lilith, however, we're going to go around the outside. Used to be just crossing the line there with 2 seconds left, so we are going to get another lap of racing between these two, and of course between Webby and Stubner. So you look at them closing up on each other. Stubner just right on the edge. Look at how close they're getting. Webby's getting desperate now. He knows this is his final chance. The yellow flag on the line. That's an Aston Martin. That's the Aston Martin and Matty. I wonder if they have run out of fuel. Is Webby going to just send it into turn 1? It's very close, but not close enough. Feel like I've been saying that for a long time. But is he going to try and make a move up into turn 3? No, he tried, but it just wasn't quite there for him. Meanwhile, the gap with Lilith and Jackson's at 6/10, but we now switch to a race leader. User B, fastest lap, led every lap. It's going to be, you know, for a race with a mandatory pit stop and it's only 60 minutes long, to do a Grand Slam, you have to have impressive pace, and User B's shown that all race long. As I've said, you know, it's like the pace between the two leaders has been averaging about a second a lap quicker. User B, however, is going to come out on top. With a 16-second lead, he's going to take the checkered flag. User B wins the 60 minutes of Kyalami. going to go back onto this battle here with Lilith. Just 4 attempts. We're not quite going to see something here. Here comes Sotskov. A good challenge at the beginning, but just not quite got the pace across the whole race. 17 seconds off the lead. Stubner another 16 seconds back. Clearly something happened with Webby going off potentially. He's managing to hold on to his podium despite that challenge. Webby P4 in the end. Chicken he's got that 10-second penalty. Morris Jones is there. So Chicken's going to cross the line in P5. But the gap to Tom is only about 4 or 5 seconds. So Tom is going to take that position once post-race penalties are applied. Jackson and Lilith are going into it at the final corner together. But Jackson holds off Lilith to take P7. Ahead of Lilith in P8. Bartek, who was having that battle early, he crosses the line. You can see he's wounded. He's wounded in 9th. Zanoni takes 10th. Maybe, or was it Pryor? Pryor's taking 10th, sorry. I'm seeing a whole load of people crossing the line now. There's Simon. And I believe that is everyone across the line. So that is it. A pretty convincing win for User-B at the end. I'm loving the good luck messages for myself there. This has been the ACM 60 minutes of Kyalami in the Summer Sprint Series. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now. We'll be back for another race soon enough. Just follow the Twitch and you'll see us when we go live.